We know the Union troops occupied Nashville for the duration of the Civil War, but there's a lesser-known fact about the enemy.
So the soldiers were here all the time, and when they weren't out shooting people, they needed something to do. So they had learned baseball from the North, and so they set up baseball teams. They had their own teams, probably through their regiments.
Historian Carol Kaplan says that was the birth of baseball in Nashville at a place called Sulphur Spring Bottom.
They were springs of water that came down through the limestone, and they had this sulfury water. It's still there.
But the ballpark became known as Sulphur Dell. Famed local sports writer Grantland Rice decided Dell was more rhymable than Bottom, and it stuck. Professional baseball was played here from 1885 to 1963. It was home for the Southern Association's Nashville Vols.
It was a very tiny setting. Indeed, it was so, and of course the sun beamed down on it all the time, and the players used to call it suffer hell because it was such an uncomfortable place to play.
And hardly glamorous. It used to sit between 4th and 5th Avenues north of downtown, sandwiched in an industrial area and meatpacking plants. But nobody noticed the scenery when a seen stealer like Babe Ruth hit the diamond.
He liked to play here, and then of course he liked to visit the orphanages here. He would go around and visit the kids and autograph baseballs, and some people in Nashville still have those autographed baseballs.
This is the Dell today, recreated right down to the Sulphur Springs. But this site is more significant than just being the home of pro baseball in Nashville. This site, in the shadow of the state capitol, is probably the most historic site in Nashville because this is where the settlers first came and founded the city. Years later, the only race that seemed to matter was a pennant race.
There were organized white leagues, and then there were organized black leagues too, and they were both very, very popular here. It's interesting to know that when the black teams were playing, then black spectators sat under the bleachers in the cool part, and white spectators sat out in the sun. When white teams played, then it was reversed. But they always had huge crowds.
At the old Negro League sports shop, owner Larry Walker has Dell memorabilia.
I was named after Larry Doby, and Larry Doby was the second player to go to the major leagues, and he was the first player to go to the American League after Jackie Robinson.
He even gets occasional visits from the old players. They made history at a ballpark that sat on a spring.
That mystique and all of that is still there.